And now, how can we bridge the gap working with school and university students, in addition to reskilling of existing workers? University degrees versus certification? Please welcome Abdallah Al-Zoubi, Professor at Princess Sumaya University for Technology, Nabeel Fayoumi, Managing Director at Digiskills, Dave Feenan, Director at Technology Ireland ICT Skillnet, DTSL, Olga Fragis, Founder and CEO at Live Assets, Philios Papastilianou, Strategy Director HCM, ECE, MEA at Oracle.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The title of my talk is Preparing Youth in Jordan for or to Work 4.0, Future Skills Envisioned. Pablo Picasso once said that it takes a long time to become young, a statement which bears reflection in my personal journey in life as I've become or remained close to the young throughout my journey as a university professor, and as if time has actually frozen while cohort after cohort of students passing by before me. And as a consequence, I have become attached to the notion that it is from the young that we have most to learn. Yet, we should pray for the young because it's really difficult for them out there, especially with the mounting challenges that the world is facing at this moment of time, and more so in this part of the world. So I believe it's our utmost responsibility and moral duty to prepare the young for the future. And I also believe in what the American philosopher Herbert Hubbard once said and wrote, that one machine can do the work of 50 ordinary men, but no machine can do the work of one extraordinary man. And this is true indeed, especially when we look at the sorry, this is wrong. It's the wrong slide. Can you please fix it? I'd like to give you a snapshot of what happened to the world in the past 2.5 centuries, since the start of the Industrial Revolution in England in the mid-18th century, with profound transformation of and impact on humanity, starting from James Watt. Could you fix, please, the presentation, the first page? Because this is not the first page. Starting with James Watt and his steam engine, which brought about the machine age, to the likes of Michael Faraday, Andrew Carnegie, and Henry Ford, who pioneered the industrial age with inventions such as electricity, steel, and the assembly line, and to the internet, the transistor and internet, which opened up the information revolution, where people and devices became connected and manufacturing systems almost completely automated. And finally, to the intelligent age that we live right now, with automated machines and Industry 4.0, which leads to the fourth industrial revolution. And here we have a mixture of terminologies. The fourth industrial revolution, characterized by the merger of the physical, cyber, and biological worlds, and featured by unlimited storage capacity, unprecedented processing power, data explosion, and limitless access to knowledge, spearheaded by technologies such as artificial intelligence, big data, robotics, the Internet of Things, drones, 3D printing, blockchain, augmented reality, cloud computing, new materials, nanotechnology, human genome, which have found countless applications in fields such as transportation, automated vehicles, logistics, smart cities, smart homes, smart manufacturing, smart everything, in addition to education, medicine, agriculture, and so on. The speed of the fourth industrial revolution will also have a profound impact on individuals and society and the workplace, thus changing the way products are manufactured, distributed, serviced, and refined. And henceforth, I think the fourth industrial revolution will penetrate and may dominate every walk of life, more so than the industry, the economy, business, marketing, finance, banking, education, medicine, and other fields, and where the number 4.0 will actually dominate the terminology space in the coming decade or so. In fact, Industry 4.0 will enable new types of interaction between man and machine, with ramifications on the nature of work and labor force, and where new technologies will require new skills and competencies, and where the future engineer, entrepreneur, employee, and worker will need a broad skill set to address the technological advancement of Industry 4.0. The question is, how do we prepare our youth for such a dynamic and volatile workplace environment, and how do we train them for jobs that have not even been contemplated yet? And while we are actually at the first moment of the first day of the new revolution. To answer this question, tens of projects have been launched worldwide, and I hope that soon Jordan will do so. Reports prepared, many research articles published in the past few years. One particular report has been released in 2020 by the Institute of the Future at Phoenix Research Institute, which focused on the topic of future work skills and identified 6 key drivers that will reshape the landscape of work, in addition to 10 work skills essential for the job market. And this report has actually avoided to talk about or identify specific job categories, as many previous studies seem to have proven wrong in this regard. And the 6 drivers, I'm not touching it, by the way, so I'm not touching it. The 6 drivers, you can see them actually over there, which are most relevant to the future work skills that might be required by our future young generation, without actually using this. Extreme longevity, and only yesterday the United Nations has announced that the world has reached the mark of 8 billion people in this planet. When I was born, there were only 33 billion people living. Now, yesterday, they announced that it is 8 billion. So it's, I think this is the most important, even more than technology as a driver, extreme longevity, which requires new skills. Many people go into retirement. We need, in this case, lifelong learning, because I think even specifying the categories of being young and old, 65, I'm approaching 65, and I think I still feel young. So extreme longevity will actually demand some type of lifelong learning. We shouldn't stop learning at all. Computational world, the world is really interconnected in ways that have never seen before. Smart machines and systems, where the Internet of Things now, with so many initiatives, such as the 1 trillion sensors that the Stanford initiative in 2014 has been launched to make the world really connected. New media ecology. So many types of media are now driving the workplace. Superstructured organizations and a globally connected world. The 10 skills that are most relevant for the future are sense making, where actually the reports has stated or articulated the skills in a way as outcomes. They were the same ways that accreditation agencies articulate the learning outcomes. So it should have sense-making, means that the worker should have the ability to have a deeper understanding of the workplace. Social intelligence is an extremely important skill where decisions can be made collectively by people working in virtual teams, and virtual collaboration is also an important skill. Transdisciplinarity, where the worker is no longer expected to work in one very specific topic or job, but actually in multi-disciplined fields. A new media ecology or literacy is a new skill that is very important. Cross-cultural competency, where language comes here as one of the main skills that are required for the future, and so on. Novel and adaptive thinking, and I think finally the cognitive load management. These are the 10 main skills that I think has been overlooked by many universities over the world, and I think in Jordan, at this moment of history, particularly that the unemployment within our youth is unprecedented. Some figures put it at 35 to 40%, and I think with the present educational system in Jordan, I don't think we can wait any longer. I think we need initiatives to be launched, and I think new programs should be actually designed as we do at Princess Sumaya University for Technology. Now we have new programs. We have embedded some of these skills, some of them, in our curricula, but extracurricular activities are very, very important to embed these skills. The pandemic was extremely important for us as a landmark that has actually pushed us towards virtual learning. We do a lot of remote labs, for example, and so on. So what we are doing at Princess Sumaya University for Technology has actually helped us in overseeing these skills, and we hope that such endeavor would be adapted by the government to look into what we can do to predict the future skills required for the Jordanian market and for the regional market too. Thank you very much.
Is it working? Oh, there we go. Okay. If we get, there we are. Okay. I'll stand on this side, as the view may be better. Hello again. And I'm just going to quickly give you an overview of, I've been in the talent industry for, goodness gracious, I'm going to age myself, but over 20 years now, mostly in the Canadian, North American market. And I've seen talent in all stages. And one thing I want to point out is, although I'm in information technology, that is our expertise, I come from sociology. So people are, is my thing, is what I enjoy, and that's why I'm in the industry. So the world definitely has changed. And one of the things that I think everybody here today, like I've been wowed just listening to all these presenters talking about, you know, how the world has changed and is changing. And I think if we talk about information technology and our new world, it's these last 2 years. You know, we talk about pre-pandemic, right? And the after effects. And I think we're writing history, that's for sure. There's no doubt about it. I'm sure my grandchildren and those after will be reading what we are living today and what we are changing. And for sure, the demand for new talent has changed. There's no doubt about it. The way we share, the way we learn, our values have changed. We see it in the, you know, the way that people look at working today has changed. Buying, the ecosystem, climate change, logistics, the way we do business and our transactions generally. And these are a lot of, once again, changes that have really, really boggled people's mind. We're living in a world of 4 or 5 generations constructively together and living through this. So there's a lot of I don't know, turmoil. But at the same time, I would say it's exciting. So disruption, that's what I like to call it. I think we've definitely disrupted the norm. And if you think about it, the way people learn, right, is when we're uncomfortable. If you really want to learn and you want to grow, you grow through putting yourself in situations that are uncomfortable. It's not you. And therefore, you kind of challenge yourself. And we see this, once again, in the pivot that has happened in the world. And businesses that have been successful, although in their industry may not be, they were able to pivot and pivot quickly. And this is where the growth happened. So we talk about talent and what we're looking for. And I think in one of the slides, I've talked about some of the areas in IT that are definitely coming forward and are in high demand. But one thing that we don't really focus on, and I think we're going to have to, whether we like it or not, is the talent, the people, the new people that are going to change this world, are going to adapt into this world. This is where I think the secret sauce lies. And it's people who are going to be resilient. And a lot of people in this room are. I don't know if our future generations really are. They've been spoon-fed all these years. Do they really know what it's like, you know, to wake up in the morning and not sure if you can put food on the table and be able to work through that? I don't think they're there for sure. People have to be very tech savvy. Everything is technology today. And we're seeing the silo of experts. Again and again, it's coming up that you are someone who specializes in a certain area as opposed to being the jack of all trades, which doesn't work any longer, really. Now, one thing, I'm just going to pause here and say that being in this industry for so many years, prior to the Y2K era, I recall companies coming to us and asking us for information technology experts, people that will keep the lights on, people that will do exactly what this gentleman did today and got this remote going and that up there, and everything was fine. And I've watched people, I've been blessed, I guess, to interview, I don't know, thousands of people throughout time, through my career. And one of the things that's really, really interesting is watching the evolution of these people and the ask from the companies. So the companies would come and say, I want someone who can just make sure that my computers are working and the terminals are up. Well, as time progressed, what we've seen is companies are looking for, okay, you've got the technology and I'm fine with that, but I need now to have someone who's going to link the technology and the business. And this is something that has evolved through the last 2 decades. And this is now going to take its next level. Absolutely. For sure. Because we very well know that technology drives business. Right? That's the way of the world. We've seen it in the last decade, and we will be seeing it moving forward. Therefore, being resilient, being able to pivot, being an expert, being tech savvy, these are the things, this is the talent that we're going to look for. And if we don't have it, we're not going to be in the game. We're really not. So information technology, once again, has been called to connect the world in a very, very different way. And in the 2 last years, technology moved a good decade ahead. So everything changed in a real, real dramatic way. And again, going back to saying that people that were able to pivot and understand this and absorb it and welcome it instead of trying to push it back became very, very successful. Areas, and I don't want to get into them because there's so many areas of expertise, right? There's the data world, there's e-commerce, there's logistics, security, cloud, AI. It's endless of where this is going. What's important is, though, the people that are going to be handling this, the new talent, that if they're not ready for it, that is where the issues are going to become. We're being able to create, right? What we saw an avatar earlier, which was wow, like holy smokes, that's the new world. Being able to adapt to it and having the talent for it is what is key. Oh well. Once again. Oh. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, we're almost done. But what I was going to say is that people who tap into their talent, focus on it, are the ones who are going to be able to be that resilient person, the person that's going to pivot. These young men here that are sitting in front of us today, they are the people of the future. They are the people that have to be resilient, be able to pivot, have open minds in this world that we live in today. Be open to change and welcome change. Well, change is going to be what is going to make you grow. It's going to make you feel uncomfortable. You're not going to like it, but you're definitely going to be well inversed into this new world that we're going to live in. That's for sure. So I will leave you with that. I want to say thank you very much. Thank you for allowing me to share with you. And thank you very much for allowing me to learn from you. Thank you. There you go. Oh. I don't want to take too much time of other people, I guess.
Sorry, that's not my slide deck. Okay, good afternoon everybody. Just while we're waiting for the slide deck to come up, my name is Feenan. I'm the Director of the ICT Skillnet. We're based in Dublin, in Ireland. And what I'd like to talk to you over the next 10 minutes is a model for talent development we have enabled in Ireland, which, as far as I'm concerned, it's very easy for Jordan as a country to actually embrace this. There's no IP in it. We've 20 years of trying to iron out all the problems, get over all the speed bumps. And what I'd encourage you to do, if you're from academia, if you're from government agencies, if you're from industry or from society, as we would say, from the quadruple helix, have a look at this and see if this is something that could work here. I'm sorry, folks, they've actually got my presentation for tomorrow up. Sorry, that's tomorrow's presentation, folks. That's not the presentation, that's my presentation for tomorrow. You have two presentations. Actually, may I make a suggestion? Would you like to one of the other speakers to go and we get sorted? Sorry. Yeah. Can we switch? Yeah. Can we switch?
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Thank God I don't have a presentation tomorrow. So this is my only presentation. And green is forward. So my name is Nabeel Al-Fayoumi. I'm the managing director of Digiskills Association, which is an independent association that was established by Ministry of Digital Economy and Entrepreneurship to broker a great mission under the YTJ program, and that is digital skilling of Jordanian youth to prepare them for employment, whether in the local market, regional market, or internationally. So I will be speaking about how digital skills have become a means of survival in a changing world, which links my presentation to the topic of this session. And I will not dwell on the numbers of the demand-supply gap, on the issues we have. I'm sure that most of you in the private sector and even government and in different sectors realize the huge gap between the outcomes of the tertiary educational systems and even the K-12 systems and the market demand for current and new skills. And not even talking about future skills. Today, we are facing a major dilemma, and I'm sure companies and the private sector realize how difficult it has become to attract qualified, skilled resources to do the required jobs, let alone future jobs that my colleagues have mentioned. So talents are highly demanded. The gap is there. We all realize that there is a gap. And the gap is growing, not only in Jordan, the region, but worldwide. And just to give you a sense of the magnitude of this gap and problem we are facing, look at this. So the colors are a little bit disrupted, but if you look at the proficiency assessment of digital programs in Jordan, and this is a study that was conducted by Avasant under the Digiskills YTJ program, and it took 8 months to come up with major findings. It was focused on Jordan and the gap between the supply and the demand. And these are surveys, studies from the ground. So these are very recent numbers. The study was concluded this year. It was launched last month. I cannot really present all the figures, but at least I have 2 slides to show how huge the gap is between the outcomes of our educational system and the demand in the market, the demand requirements in the market for skills. And look at this. In many cases, the average level of proficiency is even less than the minimum accepted for any job in the different domains that are listed here. And these are most of the highly demanded jobs in the market. This is from a technical perspective. Look at this from the professional skills perspective, and you can see the current state of our graduates and the minimum requirements. So we have a real situation here. We have a real problem. So our approach is a practical approach whereby we are running based on evidence-based approach towards addressing this challenge and dealing with this challenge by building the skills of our youth in a rather aggressive, progressive, and results-oriented approach whereby we really care about the impact of the programs. We're not just counting heads or running any training programs. We want to run impact programs that will lead to employment of our youth, our graduates, by bridging the gap between the knowledge they have, the skills they gain on their university seats, and what is needed from them from a skills perspective in order to get jobs. So we have 4 types of approaches that we will run in parallel. So we have an immediate approach to address, let me say, the crisis of the graduates who cannot find jobs. So you have 4,000 accepted, and you have thousands of graduates in the ICT field every year, and the unemployed population is growing rapidly and causing problems. Everyone knows how the unemployment rates have been increasing during the past years, which is a big problem. So the first approach is to address this issue, which is pressing, is to address the graduates who are searching for jobs, who cannot find jobs because they do not have the right skills to access the market. Meanwhile, we know very well that the opportunities are huge. There are so many jobs in the market to be filled, and the companies are suffering because of lack of skilled resources. So this approach will require an aggressive, impactful, demand-driven upskilling programs that are geared towards uplifting the skills of those graduates to be employed. And I cannot dwell on this because it will be done, and it is done currently in partnership with the private sector, with the employers themselves, so that we gear the programs towards the skills that they need in order to get them skilled enough to get jobs. We have the interim approach, whereby we do not wait until the graduates get their certificates and then get shocked with the fact that their skills are not enough to get jobs, and that will be done in partnership, close partnerships with the universities, whereby we bridge the skills, required skills, before the students graduate in order to make sure that they're ready once they get their certificates for the markets and immediately get jobs. And this will run in parallel, probably through accelerators at universities, and this is the second thread that we are working on. And the grassroots approach, which is the most challenging, whereby we go back to the root cause, the K-12 system, and work with the Ministry of Education. Of course, this will be supported by the YTJ in a different subcomponent, but we will participate in providing the outcomes of the demand-supply surveys so that the skills are early on aligned with the market demand. And the overarching approach is the continuous education, continuous learning. Even those who are skilled today and who have jobs, things are changing quickly, and they might end up with obsolete skills very fast because the technology is rapidly changing. So it's our obligation to make sure that career progression skills are provided for those employees to continue lifelong learning in order to maintain their jobs and even assume future jobs that will come about very soon. The skilling ecosystem. So if you talk about the skilling ecosystem, you need to have a regulator. And in our situation, TVSDC is the entity that will be and is playing the role of policymaker, standards setter, and enforcers of those policy, but they should not get into the implementation. And so far, alhamdulillah, they are not getting into the implementation. The skilling broker, which is Digiskills, is brokering the implementation, which means we do not, as Digiskills, provide the training, but rather make sure that we balance and we stand between the employers and the trainers and provide the quality assurance, provide the guidance, provide the accreditation auditing, so that the whole system will be on par with the international best practices. And of course, on the two sides, on the other side, we have the training service providers, which is a major component of the ecosystem, which we have to support. And actually, we need to support this ecosystem because the scalability, in order to assure the scalability of our skills development, digital skills development, we need much, much more than the providers we have today in order to fulfill the requirements which needs to be delivered. We're talking about here tens of thousands of upskilling beneficiaries. Of course, beneficiaries here will range from K-12 and K-12 university graduates, but also we will eventually have to address the workforce and make sure that the workforce skills are uplifted continuously, maintained continuously, to pace the rapidly changing, rapidly evolving technologies, which requires continuous upskilling. So this is an ongoing process that we have to take on and maintain. Twofold impact. So we are looking at twofold. So in this situation, we're not only talking about upskilling and creating new talents for employment, but we will also look at the other side and encourage entrepreneurship, which will lead to job creation. And that's part of the skills that we need to instill in our youth. Not only looking for jobs, but also making sure that we nurture the talented ones to create their own businesses, and create those businesses will eventually create more jobs. So it's a complete ecosystem that will make sure that we will balance between the demand and the supply side in order to contribute to the economic and social development of our country. So In conclusion, we are working very hard to get Digiskills up to speed and get the upskilling programs up to speed. We have finally launched our pilot program whereby we will be upskilling 500 graduates, and we will be working with a number of highly qualified training service providers. The applications for joining our efforts will be open very soon on continuous basis, which means that our programs will have no time limits because we will be working very hard to scale up very quickly in order to cover the population and to run programs across the 4 approaches that I have mentioned to you. I wish I had more time to describe more, but we need your support. We are here to support you, and hopefully very soon you will see the real impact of what we are doing in partnership with the private sector, universities, academic sectors, and the government. Thank you very much. يعطيكم العافية.
So I'll welcome myself back. Sorry about that technical glitch. You good to go? So just quickly go back over the introduction for those people that may have come into the auditorium. My name is Dave Feenan. I'm the director of the Technology Ireland ICT Skillnet, which is a unique public-private partnership that the Irish government have put in place to help with the upskilling of people in Irish industry. I'll specifically talk about the tech sector because that's the area I focus on. But just before we get into that, I just want to have a look at kind of the future of work and what the drivers are. Because what we're actually seeing is a huge desire for companies to try and align a business strategy to a human capital strategy. Industry's waking up to the fact that human capital is an asset for the balance sheet. So when we talk about technology and skills, we often talk about the technologists and their understanding of the ones and zeros that make up the technology stacks. But more and more, the C-suite, the leadership, they also want to understand the ones and zeros, but it's more from the impact on the balance sheet. So they're challenged by a number of changes in the marketplace and in society over the last couple of years. Some of them brought on by COVID, others were coming anyway, maybe accelerated by COVID. But what we're actually seeing is a multi-generational workforce. In earlier presentations today, you heard we are living longer, and expectations that people born today will live in excess of 100 years. So what type of career will they have? Like for somebody like myself, I would have grown up having a belief in going down an education process to go into a job. In those days, it was suggested it was a job for life, and then to eventually retire, where if you've children today, they'll probably have 6, 8, 10 different jobs over their lifetime. And those jobs will vary dramatically. It could be working in a large multinational, it could be doing a startup, it could be working in an NGO environment, or maybe in some societal entrepreneurship environment. So the different skill sets that people need are changing. The way the technology adoption, the technology transfers have occurred, the way we actually consume learning has changed dramatically. We've heard it from other speakers on the panel here and throughout the day in the room as well. So there's a seismic change coming in how we consume learning. And one of the things we had to do in Ireland was to look at that and best decide how we could keep Ireland competitive. And as you will know, like Ireland has a very large tech footprint. It has in med devices and biopharmachem. But we rely a lot on foreign direct investment, FDI as we call it. And one of the key USPs Ireland has always had is a large talent pool. But that talent pool can easily get stale as technologies change and as business models change. So we've moved very much into a focus on lifelong learning, but also a multimodal lifelong learning. because people now want to consume smaller bite size of learning, not necessarily a full master's, or if they have a master's, maybe to add a new technology piece to that, because the employers of today are looking for individuals with expertise in cyber, in AI, in cloud, in a whole host of technologies. So are we going to see the concept of a job title not existing? If you look at a gig worker, they work for many different organizations. They could be a software developer for one, maybe doing something in the cybersecurity space for another, and maybe in digital marketing for another. And between the three job roles, that's how they earn their income. So what is their job title? What is their appetite to learn, and how are they going to learn? So what we did in Ireland was we set up what's called a Skillnet. And Skillnet Ireland is a government agency that actually funds 72 different networks or clusters for the upskilling of that sector in Ireland. And it's a unique public-private partnership. And the way it works is, and this is where maybe Jordan can get some examples of how this could work and how this could help your own models. In Ireland, when you employ somebody as an employer, you're obligated to pay payroll taxes. A percentage of that payroll tax in Ireland goes into the National Training Fund, and then organisations like ourselves take the money out of the National Training Fund to work in collaboration with industry to build learning pathways, to build skills pathways, to build master's programs that are industry-led. They're not academically led, they're industry-led. And that's the huge difference. So it's industry designing their own learning pathways. Yes, they can be academically accredited and academically delivered, or they may use online portals. But it's a collaborative approach to designing the talent of the future. And it's also a co-funded model, so that the state actually invests in the model. They would pay anywhere between 20 to 50% of the actual learning pathway that is being consumed, and industry will pay the other 50% or 70%. So for ourselves at the Technology Ireland ICT Skillnet, we specifically focus on the tech sector. That was our background for many, many years. However, tech has become ubiquitous. It's a utility like water, electricity. So we've seen the boundaries of where our market reach has now got to. We've become sectorless, absolutely sectorless at this stage. So we got into the lifelong learning journey, hence the aircraft being there. It's not saying that we're making so much money we can forward our own aircraft, but it is that collaborative approach. Everything we do is by getting the relevant sectors in industry together around the table and asking them, if you wanted to build, as we just have recently, pathways in quantum computing, what should that look like? Are we just building for the technologists? What about the business leaders? Do we need pathways, learning modules for business leaders to understand the benefits of quantum? And it's the same when we developed a master's in blockchain or the master's in artificial intelligence. So it's the concept of working with industry, with academia, and with government, but the government has a stake in it in the sense that they are actually refunding payroll taxes back to the companies to upskill their employees. So very, very interesting model. There are 72 of these networks in Ireland. So if you're in the engineering space or agricultural space, if you're in the food space, health and beauty, there's almost a Skillnet per sector, and each Skillnet works on the same model. Our approach is a hub and spoke one. So you'll see there is a mixture of academically accredited programs, there are industry certified programs, there are self-paced programs. We run the blockchain cluster in Ireland. We run the open source cluster in Ireland as well. We do a lot of work with companies to help them digitally transform. We help them with their innovation as well. And an interesting pilot that we did in 2020 because of COVID, which we call Future and Tech, more or less at the 9 o'clock there on that infographic, was where we built 9 specific career pathways in technology for people impacted by COVID, but coming from other industries like retail, hospitality, aviation, all those areas impacted by COVID. And what we're after doing is, in the last 2 years, we've transitioned 650 people from non-tech backgrounds into a career in technology. So constantly feeding the talent pipeline in Ireland for industry to take. And when you think about the tech jobs, biopharmachem, financial services, medtech, engineering, we've a growing space agency as well. They will all take people with cloud, with cybersecurity, with AI. These jobs that these job roles that we're supporting are no longer the domain of the tech sector. So kind of an interesting model coming around. And you'll notice at the top there at 10 o'clock on the infographic, the human capital strategy. And that's again where we're going in with our team to sit down to map that strategy. Like if companies do not understand what their talent asset register is, they're a long way away from scaling, because they will write a business strategy and in 2 years' time they look over their shoulder and say, where have we got the people to execute this? How are we going to do this? So it's a long journey that we're actually going on. And just to give you some idea of the numbers as coming to the end here, we've helped over 2,000 companies in Ireland in the last 3 years on their journey. We've invested 16 million. Now that's ourselves as the government agency, that's industry as well. And over 7,000 people have been upskilled. And that includes PhD programs where we've developed a fast-track 4-year PhD program in data science where we bring in international students, fully funded PhD. They get industry placements and they get to stay in Ireland after it. The 4 years has finished. So there's a whole host of different models there. I know there's people here from different clusters, different agencies, and by all means, if you wish to talk to me at any stage about it, I'd be delighted to do so. So that's more or less me. I'm right up now in 10 minutes. I'd like to thank you for listening to me. Apologies about the glitches at the end, or at the start, should I say. I'm back on tomorrow about blockchain, if that's of interest to anybody. You saw the first slide of it there, so maybe that was enough for you. But thank you very much for your time, for waiting to this stage of the day. Thank you.
Perfect. Kiev Lacom, I hope it's correct because my colleague teach me this and maybe they play a joke with me. So my name is Philios Papastilianou. I have a long Greek last name, but I'm actually from a small island called Cyprus, next door neighbor actually of Jordan. I'm part of Oracle team. I'm part of the Oracle strategy team covering Oracle HCM applications, but also I'm supporting the region of Isimia. So it was very interesting, the presentations that I heard today from you guys. Olga, you mentioned many times about how the disruption that happened with pandemic. And I think everybody, we understand that we had the pandemic that came to us and suddenly we felt the need to change. And we felt the need to change immediately. But also at the same time that we have the pandemic, and we should not always blame pandemic for this, we have this great disruption, these great advances from technology. And this technology is coming to us. And that's one of the reasons that causing the lack of skills that we have in the market. And I went through the Moody website and I found a very interesting number. 48% of Jordanian entrepreneurs, of Jordanian companies, they are facing the problem of looking for skills, the right skills, and they cannot find them. So this is something that as Oracle, it alerts us. And if we see a little bit the global numbers, if we change, can we go back? You cannot go back. Here, that's it. Even globally, they have exactly the same issues. So we see that 33% of the technology jobs that we have, they don't have the necessary skills they need for the job. And we're talking about that we have this digital skills shortage. But what is the reason behind this? In addition to all these things, the disruption that happen around us, it's also that the need that we have lack of exposure of this new generation of people, the students, to the digital technology, to the new tools. And in Oracle, we saw that, and what we have decided is to create a program that is dedicated only for universities and educational institutions. And what we're doing in this program is try to give for free teachings, material, resources, even curriculum correctly to help them to build and educate their students in order this new generation of people, when they go to the market, to have the right skills. So what we built in this Oracle Academy, we are focusing more in the area of teaching the students about the new technology. And coming from for a company like Oracle, we bring a lot of innovation, machine learning, artificial intelligence, to give the ability to the students to touch this technology. At the same time, we need to educate you and help you to explore these new technologies. And at the end, you will be able to build and develop your own applications in order to feel their own hands experience on using the latest technology that there is in the market. So how a university can take this academy, how they can register. It's available for all universities and all the educational institutions. What you need to do as a university, you need to enroll. You go to the academy.oracle.com, you enroll yourself there, and then the educators, the people who run the university, can give access to students in order to use this technology. You don't need to download anything, you don't need to install anything. Of course, we live in the cloud world with everything is on web. And in addition to this, we give for the first year a $300 free credits to use it, to maybe use some other applications from the marketplace of Oracle, see what other partners, other vendors they have done, and maybe take this application or build your own applications, share with Oracle, and let us evaluate this, and maybe even we can embed it in our solution. So there is a very rich curriculum that we built for the cloud applications. And we have it separated in 4 different areas. One is what we call Oracle Academy Primavera. And I think we are all familiar with the Primavera applications. What is the Primavera application? Focusing on project management. So universities, they are doing manufacturing, they have civil engineers, engineering and construction. This is a very interesting session to register to this academy and get all the content about Primavera, use Primavera, understand how a state-of-the-art project management solution can work and how they can embed it to their future work. We have the Cloud Academy, of course, with our cloud program when it comes to the technology that we offer in on cloud. And I think you are all familiar with a lot of technologies that Oracle is offering on cloud. We have the Oracle Apex, where we give you the programming language, Java, to help you to build applications using this technology. And of course, the Oracle Academy NetSuite. NetSuite is our solution, a business solution that we have, covering needs of a company when it comes to financials, to supply chain, to procurement, to human capital management. So we give you access to a state-of-the-art ERP system to use it and understand how it works and how are the best practices. The idea behind this is to be able to get the first glimpse of the applications, to use them, but also we have what we call an Oracle Academy Education Bites. And this is where we understand what kind of career you want to do in your life, where you want to go. So if you are focusing more, as I told you, on engineering and development roles, then we have a specific roles, built ready program to follow it in order to help you to get a certification. The same thing we're doing with sales roles. If you want to be in business development, or if you want to be a sales manager, and the same thing if you want to be part of the functional support departments of an organization like human capital management and finance. The whole thing will help you to create an Oracle professional certification where you can use this when you go outside of the university as an asset to you. And because you will use this technology, you will be able to cover this gap of skills that we are seeing now in the market. And I can give you, and this one you can take a photo, is what we offer you for free. All this information that you have here as a student, you will have access to this information. So, before I close it, because I think you're all tired and I don't want to take much more time from you, what we understand is that Oracle Academy program is always available for you. It's using web browser. You don't need to download. You don't need to install anything. It's available and ready to be used. Check with your universities. The majority of universities are our members, but you can check out with your university or if you're a student here. And then if you need any help, we are more than happy to help you to do this registration. So thank you very much from my side. Thank you very much.